Ladies and gentlemen, before the silence of the night embraces you, there is a sacred moment. A moment when the body begins to rest, but the mind still holds the power to shape tomorrow. Each night, before sleep, you are given a choice to feed your doubts or to feed your strength. What you tell yourself in those final minutes is not small. It is like planting a seed into the soil of your subconscious. And those seeds, whether of fear or of courage, will grow into the actions and emotions that guide your next day. Tonight, I invite you to reflect on 10 powerful things you can tell yourself before sleep, not as empty words, but as inner reminders, because the language you speak within becomes the reality you live without. The last words you tell yourself shape the first thoughts of tomorrow. This simple truth is something many people overlook, yet it carries immense power. Human beings live in cycles. Day and night, activity and rest, waking and sleeping. The transition from wakefulness to sleep is one of the most important times in that cycle because the conscious mind slowly fades and the subconscious begins to take over. Whatever thoughts you entertain in those last moments before falling asleep do not simply vanish with the closing of your eyes. They seep deeply into your subconscious, where they settle, grow, and prepare to resurface in the morning as the emotions, attitudes, and energy with which you begin your day. Consider how you feel when you go to sleep after a stressful argument or after worrying about tomorrow's tasks. Even if your body gets the hours of rest it needs, you often wake up tense, heavy, or drained. This is not only because of the quality of sleep, but because the mind carried that negative state into the night and the subconscious worked on it. Now, compare this with nights when you go to sleep after reading something uplifting, practicing gratitude, or reminding yourself of your strengths. On those mornings, you often wake up lighter, calmer, and more focused. The difference lies not in what happened the next day, but in the last words you fed your inner self before surrendering to sleep. The mind is like fertile soil and your thoughts are the seeds. At night, when the conscious mind grows quiet, the soil becomes soft and receptive. If you plant seeds of worry, self-doubt, or anger, you should not be surprised when they sprout into frustration or negativity the following day. But if you choose instead to plant seeds of encouragement, gratitude, and hope, the subconscious nurtures them during the night and they greet you in the morning as clarity, strength, and peace. This is not mystical, it is the natural process of conditioning your inner world. Many people underestimate the power of self-talk. They imagine that words are weak or that repeating phrases to oneself makes little difference. But words are symbols of thoughts, and thoughts are the architects of behavior. The inner dialogue you carry is the blueprint for how you perceive challenges, relationships, and opportunities. By consciously choosing positive and empowering words at night, you give yourself a silent but powerful advantage. You prepare your mind to wake up aligned with the direction you desire. Imagine two people. One whispers to himself before sleep, "I am tired. Tomorrow will be hard. I don't know if I can handle it." The other says, "I am grateful for today. I have learned and grown, and tomorrow I will have the strength to continue." Both go to bed, both sleep, and both wake up. Yet one rises with resistance already in his chest, while the other rises with a quiet readiness. The circumstances of their lives may be similar, but their experience of the new day is entirely different because of the words they last fed their subconscious mind. When you tell yourself something empowering before sleep, it is like setting a compass for the journey of the next day. The direction is subtle but certain. The subconscious carries that message forward, and when you wake, you naturally feel inclined to act in alignment with it. If you sleep with words of strength, you rise with thoughts of strength. If you sleep with words of defeat, you rise already defeated. This is why it is worth paying attention to the final moments of your day. Do not allow them to be wasted on meaningless distractions or worse, poisoned with negative self-talk. Instead, treat those last minutes as a sacred ritual. Remind yourself of your worth, of your growth, of your purpose. Choose words that uplift and let them echo gently in your mind as you drift into sleep. By doing so, you prepare the ground for tomorrow's thoughts, actions, and emotions. In the silence of the night, you hold the key to how the next day will begin. Night is the soil where you plant seeds for the next day. Every evening, as the world around you begins to quiet down, an invisible process starts to take place within you. Your body slows, your breathing deepens, and the chatter of the outside world fades into the background. In this silence, your mind becomes the garden, and the thoughts you choose to nurture are the seeds you place into its soil. What you think, what you feel, and what you tell yourself before sleep becomes the hidden foundation of the next day's reality. The metaphor of soil and seeds is powerful because it reminds us of both responsibility and opportunity. No farmer expects a harvest without first planting seeds. In the same way, you cannot expect a fruitful tomorrow if you neglect what you are planting in your mind tonight. If you scatter seeds of doubt, fear, or resentment, the soil will not reject them. It will accept them and give them space to grow, even though what grows will not serve you. But if you choose to plant seeds of gratitude, confidence, and peace, the same soil will nurture them in silence, allowing them to grow into clarity and strength by the time morning arrives. This process happens whether or not you are aware of it. The subconscious mind does not sleep the way the body does. It works continuously, processing, organizing, and integrating experiences. If the last input it receives is negative, it will work on that negativity through the night. But if the last input is positive, it will hold on to those constructive patterns, weaving them into the foundation of your mindset. The difference is subtle but profound, and over time it shapes the entire way you experience life. Think of a child who is told every night before sleep, "You are loved, you are safe, you are capable." Those words become seeds planted into the fertile soil of the young mind, and with time, they grow into deep-rooted confidence. Now imagine the opposite. Words of criticism, neglect, or fear. Those seeds too will grow, but into weeds of insecurity and hesitation. The soil itself is neutral. It will grow whatever is placed into it. Your role is to become intentional about what seeds you allow to enter. This same principle applies to adults. Regardless of age, the mind remains receptive at night. Neuroscience even shows that the brain waves during the transition to sleep move into a state that is more suggestible, more open. That is why affirmations, reflections, and intentions spoken at night carry a deeper impact. It is a window of opportunity that many people waste by scrolling aimlessly through their phones or revisiting worries that drain their energy. They forget that every night they are planting seeds, whether they choose them consciously or not. To treat the night as fertile soil means to honor it as a ritual. Instead of filling the last minutes with chaos or distraction, you can use them wisely. Speak words of strength, recall moments of gratitude, or simply breathe with the awareness that you are preparing for tomorrow. Each thought, no matter how small, is a seed. Over days, weeks, and months, those seeds accumulate into a forest of habits, emotions, and attitudes. You cannot escape the harvest of what you have planted. And so the question becomes, what kind of garden do you want your tomorrow to be? If you wish for peace, plant peace. If you wish for courage, plant courage. If you wish for joy, plant joy. The soil will not discriminate, it will only return what you give it. By recognizing that each night holds this power, you gain back control over the quality of your mornings, the direction of your days, and ultimately the shape of your life. Self-talk before sleep directs your subconscious. This idea may sound simple, yet it is one of the most powerful truths about how the human mind functions. Each night when you close your eyes, your conscious mind begins to fade into rest. But the subconscious, the deeper part of your mind that governs habits, emotions, and automatic responses, remains awake. It is always listening, always absorbing, and always shaping the inner patterns that influence your life. The words you whisper to yourself before sleep are like instructions handed over to the subconscious, telling it what to work on, what to believe, and what to prepare for. Many people go to bed carrying the weight of the day. They replay mistakes, regrets, or worries about tomorrow. In doing so, they unknowingly program their subconscious to reinforce fear, doubt, or dissatisfaction. When they wake up, these emotions are not gone, they are stronger because the subconscious spent the night reinforcing them. But it does not have to be this way. By intentionally practicing positive self-talk before sleep, you can guide your subconscious to work in your favor, helping you wake up lighter, more confident, and more aligned with your goals. Think of your subconscious as a powerful engine. It does not decide where to go on its own. It responds to the commands it is given. If you feed it words of weakness, it will generate outcomes that match weakness. If you feed it words of strength, it will create energy that supports strength. This is why self-talk is so critical at night. You are setting the program for how your inner engine will run through the night and into the morning. For example, if you tell yourself, "I am overwhelmed, I cannot handle what's coming," your subconscious takes this as truth. It begins to reinforce feelings of anxiety, looking for evidence to prove those words. On the other hand, if you tell yourself, "I am capable, I am learning, and tomorrow I will grow stronger," your subconscious also accepts this as truth. It spends the night aligning your inner state with that belief, making it easier for you to act with clarity and strength when the new day begins. The subconscious does not argue, it does not resist, it simply obeys. What you say is what it takes as reality. This is why repetition matters. Self-talk before sleep should not be casual, it should be intentional and consistent. The more often you feed your subconscious with empowering messages, the more those messages become the foundation of your automatic thoughts and behaviors. Over time, you no longer need to force positivity. It becomes the natural language of your inner world. You begin to face challenges not with fear, but with resilience, because your subconscious has been trained to respond that way. It is also important to understand that self-talk is not just about words, it is about emotion. When you tell yourself something before sleep, try to feel the meaning behind the words. Saying, "I am at peace," is far more powerful if you allow your body to relax and genuinely experience peace for a few moments. Saying, "I am grateful," creates deeper impact if you recall 1 or 2 moments from the day that fill you with real gratitude. The subconscious listens not only to words, but to the emotions carried with them. By directing your subconscious through self-talk, you are essentially choosing what kind of reality you want to live in tomorrow. You are not leaving it to chance. Instead, you are consciously shaping the inner dialogue that will guide your mood, your focus, and your energy. This is not about ignoring challenges or pretending that life is easy. It is about equipping yourself with the inner strength to meet life as it is without being consumed by fear or negativity. Every night, you stand at a doorway. Beyond it lies your subconscious, waiting for instructions. You can either give it messages that drag you down or messages that lift you up. Whichever you choose, it will carry into your sleep. Work on it silently and hand it back to you in the morning. If you remember this truth and practice it consistently, you will discover that self-talk before sleep is not a small ritual. It is the hidden steering wheel of your life. Inner language becomes outer reality. The words you speak to yourself within your mind may seem invisible, private, and harmless, but they shape the way you see the world and how you act in it. Every thought you repeat is like a brushstroke painting your perception. And the collection of these brushstrokes eventually becomes the picture of your reality. The truth is simple. You cannot separate the language inside your head from the life you experience outside. They are deeply connected, like cause and effect. When you tell yourself that you are not good enough, that life is unfair, or that challenges are impossible, your subconscious accepts those words as truth. Then, when you step into the world, your brain begins to filter experiences in a way that confirms those beliefs. You notice more obstacles than opportunities. You see rejection where there could have been learning. You respond with hesitation where courage could have opened doors. The inner dialogue acts as a lens, coloring everything you encounter. Without realizing it, you are not seeing life as it is, you are seeing life as your inner language has trained you to see it. On the other hand, if your self-talk is empowering, compassionate, and hopeful, the same world looks different. A problem becomes a challenge that sharpens your strength. A setback becomes a lesson that points to growth. A delay becomes a chance to practice patience. This does not mean that difficulties disappear. It means that the meaning you assign to them shifts. And meaning is what determines whether you feel defeated or determined, broken or resilient. The outer world mirrors the language you carry within. It is important to recognize that inner language is not only about what you consciously say to yourself, but also about the automatic patterns you have repeated for years. Many people wake up and immediately think, "I'm so tired," or "I don't want to do this." Those words, repeated daily, condition the mind to experience fatigue and resistance even before the day begins. Now, imagine replacing those automatic patterns with, "I am grateful for this day," or "I have the strength to face what comes." Over time, the outer reality begins to shift because your mind approaches each moment with a different energy. Science supports this truth. The brain has a filter system called the reticular activating system, RAS. Its function is to focus your attention on what you believe is important. If your inner language constantly says, "I am unlucky, nothing works out for me," your RAS will filter reality to highlight every event that proves you right. But if your language says, "I am capable, opportunities are everywhere," the same system will filter reality to show you possibilities that were always there, but previously hidden. In other words, the inner voice sets the program for what you notice, and what you notice becomes the reality you live in. Think of inner language like the script of a play. The actors, the stage, and the props may already be there, but it is the script that tells them how to move and what role to play. If your script is filled with defeat, the play you perform will be heavy and hopeless. If your script is filled with courage and vision, the performance of your life becomes inspiring and purposeful. You cannot perform a play that contradicts the script you carry inside. This is why changing your inner language is one of the most transformative practices you can undertake. By choosing words of kindness over criticism, words of strength over fear, and words of gratitude over complaint, you slowly rewrite the script. The outer world begins to reflect the new script, not because the world itself has changed, but because your perception, your choices, and your actions have. So, Each night before you sleep, pay attention to the language you are using within yourself. Ask, are these words painting the reality I wish to live in? If not, choose new ones. With yourself words that align with the life you want to see, and let your subconscious carry them into the night. Over time, you will notice that your mornings, your relationships, your work, and even your sense of self begin to shift. The outer world cannot resist aligning with the language you repeat within. Inner language becomes outer reality, always. Choose thoughts of strength, not of doubt. Every day, life presents countless situations where you are asked to make decisions, face challenges, or step into uncertainty. In these moments, the mind can either empower you or paralyze you. The difference lies in the kind of thoughts you choose to entertain. Strength and doubt are both available to you at all times. They sit side by side like two paths, and whichever one you walk depends on the choice you make in the quiet dialogue within your mind. Doubt is easy to choose because it often disguises itself as caution, logic, or protection. The mind whispers, what if you fail? What if you are not ready? What if others judge you? These questions seem reasonable, but in reality, they are chains. They do not prevent pain, they prevent growth. Doubt convinces you to stay in familiar territory, to avoid risks, and to shrink your vision. Left unchecked, doubt becomes a habit, and a habit of doubt creates a life of limitation. You wake up each day repeating the same cycles because the inner voice told you that you could not go further. Strength, however, is a different choice. It does not ignore challenges, but it faces them with a different attitude. Strength says, even if I fail, I will learn. Even if it is difficult, I will grow. Even if others doubt me, I will not doubt myself. Choosing thoughts of strength does not make life easier, but it makes you stronger than whatever life presents. It shifts your focus from what you fear might happen to what you are capable of creating. When you carry strength in your thoughts, your actions begin to reflect it, and life responds accordingly. The power of choosing strength becomes most evident at night before sleep. This is the moment when the subconscious prepares itself for the next day. If you go to bed with thoughts of doubt, replaying mistakes, worrying about tomorrow, criticizing yourself, you are programming your mind to wake up with hesitation already built in. If you go to bed with thoughts of strength, reminding yourself of what you did well, affirming your resilience, believing in your ability to grow, you are programming your mind to rise with courage. The quality of your sleep may be the same, but the quality of your energy in the morning will be completely different. It is important to understand that strength is not about arrogance or denial. It does not mean pretending that everything is perfect or that nothing can harm you. Real strength is about perspective. It is about recognizing that challenges are part of life but refusing to let them define you. It is about seeing obstacles as stepping stones rather than walls. It is about reminding yourself that growth often comes through discomfort and that every experience, whether success or failure, adds to your inner power. One way to cultivate this is by consciously replacing doubtful thoughts with stronger ones. When the mind says, I can't do this, replace it with, I may not know everything, but I can learn. When the mind says, I always fail, replace it with, every attempt teaches me something valuable. When the mind says, others are better than me, replace it with, I am walking my own path and it is enough. These small shifts are like drops of water that slowly fill a container. Over time, they build a reservoir of strength that you can draw upon whenever life tests you. Choosing thoughts of strength is an act of self-respect. It is a declaration that you will not allow fear and doubt to dictate the limits of your life. Each night before sleep, Remind yourself of your progress, your resilience, and your potential. Plant these thoughts deeply into your mind so that when tomorrow comes, you rise already prepared to face it with courage. Strength is not something you wait to feel. It is something you choose over and over until it becomes your natural way of being. Ladies and gentlemen, the words you choose before sleep are more than just thoughts. They are instructions, seeds, and silent promises to yourself. Each night, you hold the power to shape your subconscious, and each morning, you awaken to the harvest of what you have planted. If you go to bed with doubt, you rise with hesitation. But if you go to bed with strength, gratitude, and clarity, you rise with purpose. This practice is not complicated, yet it is profound. 10 powerful reminders spoken each night can change the way you feel, the way you act, and the way you live. So when the day ends and silence surrounds you, pause for a moment. Choose your words wisely. Speak to yourself as you would to someone you love, because the last voice you hear before sleep becomes the first guide you meet in the morning. And in that choice, every night, you are shaping the life you will live